Namaste. It is a joy to get to introduce a young scholar this morning, Romila Sitara Shankar Brown, who I have the joy of calling my daughter. Um, you know, there are many things in life that have been challenges, including even before she was born, having miscarriages, and she came along, and her name actually means, Romila Sitara means beautiful miracle, and goddess of compassion in the arts. And so, but she is my beautiful miracle. And I'm so happy that she gets to come and share her passion on somebody she admires today. And just a little bit about her. She is in 10th grade. She is very studious, working. She's, right now, top of her class, straight A student in the IB International Baccalaureate program. And she is working hard to save towards college and has her dreams set quite high. And she's got the most loving heart. So behind the scenes, she's a Girl Scout. She's part of the Green Club and National Honor Society and constantly doing service projects all over the community, which makes me so proud and happy. And she's also a fabulous cook. So yes, at some point she might have to host a dinner and have you all. She's really, really a culinary whiz, and so which is really wonderful for the soul, but bad for the hips. And with that, I'm going to introduce Romila. I think so.
Hi everyone, I'm Romila. I'm 15. And today I will be presenting about my shiro, Katherine Johnson. I hope you guys know some about her. If not, I'll be explaining her whole life. And there will be room for questions at the end. Okay, so just basics about her. She worked at NASA for over 33 years, and she actually started college at the age of 15, which is what I am right now. So I think that's very impressive. And then at the age of 18, she graduated with the highest honor, summa cum laude, in French and mathematics. And she was just so great. And I really like math because of her. And it just proves to me that we can just do anything we believe in. When she first started and applied to NASA, she actually got denied. But then she tried again and kept persisting. And she eventually ended up there and became wonderful and made a great impact. When I was 10, I wrote an article in the Beacon about why she was so great and why she was my shiro. And this has just been something that stuck with me for a long time, and I hope it sticks with you by the end of this presentation. She was born in 1918. Yeah, in math and French. Her mom was also a teacher, and her dad worked as a janitor and did a bunch of stuff, but he self-taught himself how to do math. And this is really what inspired Katherine Johnson to, cultivate her learning. Her family moved over 100 miles from the area of West Virginia that they were living in to a different area just so she could go to college, because there were no colleges around her that accepted African Americans. So within her family, they really helped cultivate her knowledge, and they wanted to support her and her siblings to their fullest. So after graduating, she became a teacher, and throughout her life, she advocated for STEM and just a bunch of different programs for young girls. But her accomplishments weren't really recognized until later on in her life. And I think that now that we're in the 21st century and later into it, we have more access and more resources for people to finally acknowledge her accomplishments. And it's just really great that she's finally getting the recognition that she deserved. Okay, so in 1953, She joined the NACA, which is the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, which later became known as NASA. Like here in Florida, we have Kennedy Space Center. I don't know if you guys have ever been, but it's really fun. They have a cool slide that you can slide down. That's like one of my favorite parts when I was younger. But I highly recommend you going. It's very informative and you can see a bunch of stuff and there's different like simulators and stuff that you can sit in. And it's really cool. And especially since we're in Florida, I find like a connection with it. But like I said, she worked at NASA for 33 years, which is a pretty long time to stay at one place. She faced several challenges as she worked in a male-dominated industry, and we still face that today. I'm in the engineering program at my school, and there's only 4 girls in it, including myself, while there's more like 26 boys, right? So there's not a lot of representation, but we're slowly getting better. And I hope in the future it becomes equal. She worked in an environment with segregated bathrooms, dining areas, and offices. And it was really hard for her. She had to walk 45 minutes just to go to the bathroom, and the bathroom was all the way in a different building. Later on, they did desegregate because of how great she was and like just a bunch of different stuff. They desegregated in 1958. Yeah, and she just helped to dismantle many of the discriminatory practices. So something you guys will probably know of is the first man landing on the moon or the Apollo 11 mission. She really helped with that and she calculated all the numbers. In fact, one of the astronauts himself asked Katherine Johnson to double check the numbers because he trusted her so much. And her work just helped influence a lot of things. And she was also known as the human computer because of how great she was with numbers, because, she was like a human computer. And it was John Glenn who asked her to double check the numbers. Despite Katherine Johnson's vital role, she went largely unrecognized until the later end of her life, until she was like 97 approximately. So it was really at the end of her life when she got acknowledged. And I wish that we acknowledged her a little sooner, but this obviously makes progress for our future. So it is important to lift diverse stories and teach truthful history. I know sometimes in schooling, history gets rewritten or erased, or they don't tell you the complete story. So today, I will be telling you some of the facts that got rewritten in the movie about her and just stuff like that. Yeah. So some famous quotes from Katherine Johnson are, like what you do and you will do your best. And I think this really resonates with me because if you really enjoy something that you do, you want to put forward like your best effort. Like when I cook, I want to make sure like the person I'm making the food for really likes it, because I enjoy the process more than I do eating the food. So, because I like it so much, usually it turns out well. But when it doesn't turn out well, I remake it and try again. And usually it gets better. One other famous quote that I know my mom loves is, "You lose your curiosity when you stop learning." My mom's always telling me to learn and do my best to further my knowledge. As she says, knowledge is power. So I think that really stuck with Katherine Johnson. She was a wife and a mother of a growing family. She got married twice. Her first husband unfortunately died of a brain tumor, but then she got remarried 3 years later to James Gobble, and he was a chemistry teacher. They were married for over 60 years, which I find like really awesome because once you find that special someone, it's good that you can just stay with them. You know what I mean? And he was a U.S. Sorry, she got married to James Gobble, who was a chemistry teacher, and then her second husband was a colonel, or colonel. Okay, it's that word spelled weird, guys. um, but yeah, her second husband died at 93. So Katherine Johnson survived or lived for approximately 8 years longer than he did. She unfortunately passed away at the age 101, but she had 3 daughters and 6 grandchildren and 11 great grandchildren that she got to meet, which is amazing. And here in these photos, you can see Katherine Johnson with her 3 daughters when they're younger, and below that you can see her 3 daughters and her when she was older. And I think that's really nice how like it's like a comparison, like to show time. And in 2015, President Obama presented Katherine Johnson the Presidential Medal of Freedom. During that very day, you got to see two significant historical figures who both pushed through breaking boundaries, both racial and just in general. And she was 97 years old when she received this award. So, like I said, she was not really recognized until 4 years or until she like died. So it was really at the later end of her life. She received more prestigious awards and honors in 2019, 2020, and 2021. She was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal by the United States Congress in 2019. Also in 2019, at George Mason, which is my parents' alma mater, like they went there, and I think that's really awesome, and that's another reason why I connect to Katherine Johnson. The Science and Technology Building was named after her, and I think that's really awesome. And then she received the National Geographic Society Hubbard Medal, and she was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame. Katherine Johnson was a trailblazer. One of her famous quotes, again, is, "I hope that my story can inspire the next generation of young women and girls to dream big and believe in themselves." And I know that I've definitely been inspired, and I hope other people have been inspired by her. But as we learn more about her and just get to know her accomplishments, her story lives through us, and I think that can be told for even us daily. Like when we have family and they pass on our stories, we get to live through either their stories or our family gets to live through ours. Mathematics that reached the stars. Like I said, she unfortunately passed away at the age of 101, but her legacy shines within all of us. So she was buried next to her husband James at a veteran cemetery, but it was near NASA, so it was like she's connected with her family and her workplace that she dedicated herself to. There was a bronze statue at West Virginia State University created by famous artist Frederick Hightower, and it was dedicated in 2019, or no, 2018. Okay, the US Mint and Barbie. I don't know if you guys like collecting coins, but me and my mom and my dad really like collecting coins. Like I have a quarter book with all the different quarters. So I'm really happy to announce that Katherine Johnson has a coin made after her. I really want the coin. Hint, hint, mom. So, you know, and I think it's a really cool design because it kind of solidifies her presence in a physical form, but also like there's a bunch of numbers and stuff in the back, and I think it's really cool symbolism how it like immortalized her, you know what I mean? Like she also even has a Barbie after her. Mattel has a collection of like inspiring women, and Ma, if you want to get me the Barbie too. Yeah. Um, but yeah, there's a bunch of different great women that have a Barbie after them, like Ida B. Wells, Frida Kahlo, and Rosa Parks. There's a whole section, and I recommend you guys look at them if you like Barbie. I like Barbie, so. And there are a bunch of awesome books. I was first introduced to Katherine Johnson through a book. Yes, Hidden Figures is a great book. They have a movie on it, which I'll talk to you about. And the movie is on Disney Plus if any of you guys want to watch it. Yeah. But these are a bunch of books that you guys can read if you want to learn more about her. Another famous quote is always be curious, never stop learning. The more knowledge you acquire, the more empowered you become, which relates back to the quote my mom always told me when I was younger, knowledge is power. So I like that all of you guys, like you come here and you learn and you are all empowering yourself by learning and listening to these presentations. Yeah. Okay, now on to the movie. Okay, Hidden Figures, it's a great movie. In the movie, you see three prominent figures: Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson. In the movie, they're portrayed like really close friends, when in actuality, they weren't that close, but they're still like, friendly with each other. Another thing in the movie is the person she worked for, his name was Al Harris, right? But he was a made up character. He wasn't real. He was a combination of three of the directors at NASA. But since the people who directed the movie couldn't get the rights for portraying the character of her actual director, they made him up. So it was just part of the story. But in the movie, there's this famous scene of Al Harris knocking down a bathroom sign that said like colored people only or whites only, right? And he knocked it down. And some people say this is like them trying to like build up like white prowess. But I think my take on it is that Al Harris, just wanted the best efficiency for his work because even at the end, there's like this quote and it says, "We all pee the same color." So I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, so that happened and it wasn't really factually correct because, like I said, they desegregated in 1958 and Al Harris wasn't a real person, but it was just included in the story. So thank you for listening to my PowerPoint on Katherine Johnson. I hope you love her as much as I do and got to know more about her. This is the building at George Mason that's named after her. So yeah, and I'll leave you off with one final quote. "We must believe in ourselves and our abilities even when others doubt us." And I think that applies to all of us. I'm sure we all have faced doubt one time in our life, but we kept persevering. And look where we are now. Like we're in a community of love and warmth, and I'm sure it got better. So, do you guys have any questions? Yes.
And bravo for your presentation. I found that very much. My question is, you mentioned that there are just 4 girls, teens in that program that you're in. How much of that do you think is fear, just plain girls' fear of getting in? Or what is it?
Well, I think because women haven't really been like pushed into the field, not that I have, but like my brother did engineering, right? So I was exposed to it more. So I was like, he was like, "Oh, you should take this as one of your electives." I was like, "Sure, I'll try it out." And then I ended up really liking it. So I don't think it's more so that they're scared or more so that the knowledge of like what it is isn't really exposed to them. Like since I had my older brother and he went through the program, I knew like what to expect and I had help if I ever had questions. But I don't think many people have a person who's been through engineering or something like that to really expose them to it. Yes.
I want to add to that, as a young girl going to school with boys, and very often I knew families that had sent their daughters to all girls schools. And there was a reason for that, because usually the boys were called upon. The girls weren't expected to be very good at math. They weren't expected to have these, to excel in that. And, that was my era. I'm glad to see that that's changed. And that was very inspiring movie. I saw it, it's great. But just to remember that, to sit here and listen to, yeah, you can do that, you can be really good at math, but that's okay.
And so we still have a long way to go, because in STEM fields, girls and women are still severely underrepresented. And so Nikia, one of my best friends, childhood best friends, she went to University of Virginia and studied engineering. She was the only girl out of her entire college engineering class who went through. So you can imagine, it was all, and that is still the case in so many spaces and places.
Yeah, I married an aerospace engineer, and there were very few women.
Yeah.
That was his thing.
Yeah.
And he didn't really discuss it either, like, I don't know, a secret or whatever, but really didn't discuss his job that much.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
One of our friends, Miss Amy, we do pottery with her. She works in environmental engineering, and she said that there's a lot more women in environmental engineering versus other engineering. So I find that pretty interesting, because I guess like versus like physics, right? You have more of a like mathematical way versus environmental engineering. There's more of a social impact, and I think women tend to gravitate towards the social impact.
They choose the path that they choose. This is more comfortable for them. How do I explain that now? Yeah, exactly. Accepted.
Any other questions? Thank you.